To make a comparative and common size statement for the profit and loss account and the balance sheet, we can first go to moneycontrol.com. You can think of any random company, maybe HUL. Okay, once here, we scroll down to financials. Click on financials, it'll take you all the way down. And what we are interested in is the profit and loss account and the balance sheet. Okay, so I've opened them as separate tabs. And we go in and simply copy paste. We will copy paste into Google Sheets. So, new Sheets. We need to make a comparative and common size P&L account, comparative and common size balance sheet. Let's have both the comparatives together. So comparative profit and loss, comparative balance sheet, comparative, now common size profit and loss, and common size balance sheet. Now, this is the profit and loss. We can highlight, scroll all the way down, and keep in mind, we only need information till profit or loss for the period. So just till here is enough. Don't highlight all the way to here. Just till here, copy and paste. This is the balance sheet tab. So again, profit and loss. Okay, so here's one profit and loss, and here's another profit and loss. Done. Now, we go to the balance sheet and repeat the same process. Highlight all the way down till the end of total assets. We don't need additional information. So balance sheet here and balance sheet here. Now we need to get rid of these extra columns. We only need the latest 2 years. So I'm just going to highlight all of this, right click and delete. That is the process we'll repeat for all of them. Now, when we want to calculate the comparative statement, we need to know the formula for the next 2 columns. The first one being absolute change, and the next one percentage change. So like that, it's understood we're talking about 12 months. Maybe we don't need this. Okay, so we have absolute change, we have percentage change. Keep in mind that the formula for absolute change, is equal to current year minus previous year. Similarly, percentage change is going to be absolute change, or in other words, current year minus previous year, absolute change upon previous year into 100. Right, so going back to our sheet, we are going to go ahead and apply this formula. For absolute change, I need to take this column, minus this column, starting with this cell. 45311 minus 38273 gives me absolute change. I'm going to select the cell in which I want the answer. I'm going to type is equal to this minus this. Enter. Now, I'm going to do that one more time. I'm selecting the cell where I need an answer. Is equal to this. I'm selecting the cell which I want to source the data from minus the next cell I need the data from. Enter. Right. So now if you select the cell, you'll notice the number does not come up here, but the formula. Where you originally do have data, you have numbers as it is, but where based on a formula you have a value, you'll have the formula mentioned there. So I now need to apply the same formula across all of these different cells. So I can just hover my mouse until it turns black like this and drag all the way down. And we have our answer. Always be careful, title should not contain numbers like that. That would be wrong. So let's just remove those extras. And we need a number here even though it is 0. Okay, so now let's just expand this a bit so that we can see all our entries. Now, profit or loss for the period. Yeah, this should be enough. And percentage change, we already know the formula. I'm going to select again is equal to absolute change upon previous year into, we use the asterisk sign for multiplication, 100. And Google Sheets anyway gives you this auto suggest, so you can just tick mark and you're done. And keep in mind 0 upon 0, 0 upon 0 into 100. Let's just say that that number is 0. There's nothing over here because it's a title line. Stick to 0 here. Out. And 0. Okay. Now, if you're not comfortable with zeros, you can even stick to dashes. That would also be fine. Once you're done doing that, we need to make sure it's only 2 decimal places. So I'm highlighting the entire column and I'm clicking here. Okay, and now it's down to 2 decimal places. With that, we're done with the comparative profit and loss. Since this is already understood, balance sheet is going to be fairly faster. I again do not need this line. So out. Let's expand this so everything's visible. I need absolute change and percentage change. This is equal to current year minus previous year. Enter. Now, let's get rid of all the zeros later on together. This is equal to absolute change upon previous year into 100. Again. Okay, so this is not required. Both of these, let's just give them dashes. Not required. Dash. Okay, now that this is done, again we highlight and we bring it down to 2 decimal places. Right, so one more time, we are done with the comparative balance sheet. Next, we look at Commonsize. In Commonsize, no matter how many years we've been given, it doesn't really matter because we only look at data 1 year at a time. So 2021's percentage and 2020's percentage. When we do comparative, we look at change between 2 different years. when we do common size, we assume that the net revenue from operations is 100 and everything else is X. Alright, so to make that simpler, think of cost of materials consumed. 45311 corresponds to 100. 14,951 corresponds to X. And we can find the value of X by cross multiplying. So I'm going to say this is equal to this multiplied by this divided by that. Enter. And do not opt for autofill this time around. Okay, so I have my value for 2021 for cost of materials consumed. But it will be good if at this point of time you realize that for the common size. Okay, so what we have just done over here is for the comparative statements, irrespective of whether we are thinking of profit and loss account or balance sheet. But in the case of common size statements, the rules are different for the profit and loss account. Okay, so for the profit and loss account, the value is going to be whichever line item into 100 divided by net revenue. Right, so going the spreadsheet, we can apply this formula to everybody else, but we can't directly do this. We're going to get mistakes. Why? Because right now the spreadsheet has instructions to look at these two cells, and that's what's required. Remember, our formula is the line items into 100 divided by net revenue. But if you do this, it looks at the next line, one step down. Okay, and that same logic would follow all the way. So this. We need to give an instruction to the spreadsheet to only look at these two cells. Okay, and going back to the formula, remember, if you're looking at 100, it is cell F in column F and in line 9, so F9. Similarly, when we think about D14, okay, so D14 is our current line item, which needs to change, but D9 does not need to change. We need to fix both of these, and we can do that by putting the dollar sign. So $1 before the column and the row fixes the cells. And now the instruction will be very clear. Only these line items will change. This and this remains the same, and we can blindly drag. And of course, zeros are expected. If there are zeros, there will be zeros. That's fine, but title lines should not have values. Now, I need these to be up here as well. So I'm just going to copy the formula, Control C, and again paste. Here as well, paste. Okay, and of course, we need to get rid of the decimal points. Up to 2 decimal places should be enough. With that, we are done with the numbers for 2021. Now, for 2020, it is the same thing. We simply give instructions this time around to look at 2020's numbers. So this again remains 100. Okay, and I will be following the same logic. So if 38273 corresponds to 100, that means any of these numbers will correspond to X. And we can find them by cross multiplying. And this time around, I'm just going to start from the top. Even though it's going to end up being the same number, when we drag down, we'll realize we are correct. So it's going to be equal to this multiplied by this and divided by that. And let's now itself fix the cells once and for all. Okay, so blue and purple have been fixed so that when we do drag down, it gets generated on its own. And see, it's not good to drag over a source formula. If I do this, it will go into error. I can only drag this much. Then what to do for the rest? We can copy the formula. We're effectively copying this here and go all the way down. Okay, one more time we get rid of the zeros corresponding to titles. We highlight and we get rid of the extra decimals. Now, we're going to do the common size balance sheet in a much more faster way. Only thing is you need to keep in mind, in the case of the comparative statement, it is horizontal. In the case of common size, we're literally doing vertical. In the case of common size profit and loss account, we look at net revenue from operations. Okay, so this is the important cell, the important line item. In the case of balance sheet, let's just extend this. What's important is the total. So we have total assets and we have total capital and liabilities. And if you notice, it matches. And that's why we call it a balance sheet, because it tallies. Both these numbers correspond to 100. Similarly over here, 100. Now, the same logic, we have to go ahead and say 2021 percentage, 2020 percentage, and we have to say this is equal to this multiplied by this divided by that. Simple unitary method. Right, and now I'm going to go ahead and use another shortcut in Spreadsheet by extending the formula this way first, because now it has given instructions for 2020 in the same way, where this line item multiplies with 100 and gets divided by 90,602. Why am I doing that first? Because now we can go ahead and lock the cells which will remain common across all line items for 2021 and repeat the same thing for 2020. Alright, now that we have our dollar signs in place, enter, we can drag. We can actually drag both together. So let's just highlight both of them and drag. Okay, and again, we don't want to go over something that is part of the formula, so we can again, let's do it together. We can copy formula here and again go all the way down, and you can check at any point. Of course, in Spreadsheet it's pointing to this 100. It doesn't matter whether it is this 100 or that 100. Frankly, if you extend it all the way down till here, even this will be from formula, not that it's required. Now we are done with making the common size balance sheet. The only thing left is to get rid of the extra decimal places. We want only 2 decimal places. Right, this is it. Feel free to leave your comments and doubts in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to help you. Thank you.